Later on today. Great way to remember what we talked about, what we worked on. We're going to compare you to a couple of PGA professionals. I used Jordan Spieth from the side view, and I use Zach Johnson from the front view. I like to use Zach from the front, but the video is a little fuzzy, a little far away, so that's why I use Jordan Spieth. We're going to compare you to those guys from at the address position to the top of the backswing, back down to impact, and then through to the finish. And the first one is basically a welcome movie. Welcome, Eva. I'm Joe, your swing coach. You are here for your swing evaluation. We're going to evaluate your swing from the top of the backswing, from the address position to the top of the backswing, back down to impact, and through to the finish. So welcome, and let's get to work. So, as I said, the three metrics we're going to measure today are how you bend, how you turn, and then how you tilt. Green, they're color-coded. Green is good, yellow needs work, red needs a lot of work. I don't assign any value to the reference lines. Yellow is just a relatively neutral color. If there's something you don't understand, or if there's something I'm being unclear about, let me know. I forget sometimes that we don't all speak the same language when it comes to the golf swing. Okay, Eva, looking at your swing from your address position from the front view, pretty solid. We've got a good flaring of the toes. We've got the shaft leaning forward. You can see very similar to what Zach's doing. Pretty good with the numbers. Green all the way around, another couple of degrees less open, and this would have been green. And to be honest with you, one less number, one less tilt to the left with the hips, and that would have been green as well. What these numbers represent: hip tilt. Ideally, we want our hips to be nice and level, just straight across. You've got them, you're kind of tilting a little bit to the left this way. So that's all that means. And the turns will be easier to see from the side view. But overall, pretty solid setup position. I like it. And I have to pull these numbers over to the right like this. If I left them over here on the left, when you went to watch your web lesson, I'd be talking about numbers that you couldn't see, so that's the only reason I do that. Okay, now we have the address position from the side view. A couple of things worth noting. Like to see more flexing of the knees. You can see your legs are pretty straight here. Also, your toes are a little bit aiming a little bit left of the target. We want those to be a little more parallel to our target line. And the hip turn reading open is your hips are kind of aiming in this direction. It's not terrible, but that's why I just want to explain that that's why that's yellow. Okay, now we have the address position to the top of the backswing from the side view. Ideally, the goal is to bring the club head up the primary swing plane line, like Jordan Spieth is demonstrating here, to a position halfway back, where the club head, from our perspective, is to the left of the hands, and the club face approximately matches the spine angle. And then to a position at the top of the backswing where he gets good, what we call depth. That means he's getting the club behind him. Ideally, we want the butt of the club to be kind of somewhere between the ankle and the heel. As you take the club back, you do a pretty good job of trying to come up the primary swing plane line. You're a little bit closed with your club face. Remember, we want it to approximately match your spine angle. I'm okay with that. I'd rather have you a little closed than a little open. And then as you take it to the top, we're not getting near the depth that we want, getting the club behind it. So you can see it's kind of hard to see. Your hands are awful high. It's actually, that depth isn't too bad. But again, you can see, let's see what I remember to say. You're right on the tour average as far as how you turn, but we've kind of over-rotated a little bit with the hips. In other words, so you've rotated your hips way too close this way. You don't need to rotate them quite that much. Okay, now we have the adjust position to the top of the backswing. A couple of things I wanted to mention, I forgot to mention the first time around with the adjust position. I like to see the arms a little bit more straight. You can see you got a little bit of bend here with the arms. I like to see those a little bit straighter. And maybe put the ball ever so slightly back in your stance a little bit. A good drill, I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's a drill that I'll put in your web lesson. It'll help you put the ball in the same spot every time. I like to see those arms a little bit straighter at address. Okay, and again, continuing with the address position to the top of the backswing, one of the reasons why I really admire Zach Johnson's swing. Very precise swing, not a whole lot of moving parts. As you can see, as he moves to the top of the backswing, the arms, the lead arm is nice and straight, halfway back. He's got a good, what we call wrist hinge. As he takes it to the top of the backswing, you can see the hips are actually starting to move in this direction. And again, very straight with the lead arm and kept his head in the circle. As you take the club back, we've got an awful lot of lateral motion, both with the hips and with the head. You're kind of moving up and out of the circle in this direction. What that does, that has a direct influence on what we call the low point. Ideally, we want the club to bottom out a couple of inches in front of the golf ball. Anytime we move in this direction, it's going to be harder and harder to bottom out in the same spot. So on those shots that you topped, this is probably why that happened. Quite a bit of motion away from the ball. We need to be a little more centered. And as you can see, your hips are moving in the exact opposite way that Zach's are. Your hips are moving this way, his hips are moving this way. Now we have the top of the backswing down to impact from the front view. You can see Zach's hips are continuing to move in this direction. He's doing a nice job of maintaining his wrist, what we call a wrist hinge. You can see halfway down, he's still got quite a bit of wrist hinge. The arms for the wrist don't really don't even unhinge here, which means he's expending all of his energy here at the golf ball. As you come down, you got a little bit of unhinging a little early in the downswing, and we're bending these both arms here when we need those to be straighter. You can see how nice and straight Zach's arms are. And your arms are kind of straightening out a little bit back here, which means you're expending your energy right here instead of here at the golf ball. In spite of the fact that you're doing that, you're doing a pretty good job of rotating. You can see we're doing a nice job of turning with both the shoulders and with the hips. To be honest with you, Eva, your hips and your shoulders are doing what they're supposed to be doing. We're just having issues with the arms and the hands. We got quite a bit of bending in this fashion. You can see these numbers are actually pretty good. They're mostly green and a couple of little yellows. This number here should actually be green. So, nicely done. So the shoulders and the hips are doing their job. We just got some issues with the arms and the hands. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, now we have the top of the backswing down to impact from the side view. Again, the goal, as Jordan Spieth is about to demonstrate here, is to have the club head travel in between the primary and secondary plane lines while continuing to rotate through. You can see here at impact, we're starting to see part of the left pocket, most of the left pocket, and part of the left shoulder. You've got what we call an over-the-top move. You can see how you're coming above both the secondary and the primary swing plane lines. In addition, you're a little bit open with your club face. Remember I told you we wanted to approximately match our spine angle, so that's a little bit open. And so then what that forces you to do, you can see this one, you kind of hit off the heel. But again, the issues you're having have more to do with your arms and your hands really than the shoulders and the hips. As you can see, if you were wearing pants, we'd be able to see most of the left pocket and part of the left shoulder. Again, you can see how we can still see Jordan Spieth's left arm here because you've come over the top. Your left arm is way over here. So what that's going to produce are shots that kind of go in that direction. Now we have impact through to the finish from the side view. You can see how Jordan Spieth continues to rotate through. He's transferred all of his weight onto his front foot. We know this because you can see the instep of the lead foot is starting to come off the ground. And we can see the entire sole of the trail foot. His hands are nice and high. And he's basically facing sort of in this direction. As you come through. The other thing is you notice with him, with Jordan Spieth, is the shaft of the club is kind of exiting the body way up here. As you can see, because of your over-the-top move, the shaft is exiting way over here, sort of in the middle of your body. That being said, you do a nice job of finishing. Your finish position is actually terrific. You can see we're green all the way around. We're seeing the entire sole of the trail foot. Very similar to what Jordan Spieth's got going on. He's actually got a little more rotation. That's why the sole of the shoe is sort of at an angle here. But I like that a lot. You can see you've got all your weight on your front foot because we can see the entire sole of the shoe. Hands are nice and high. Very nice. Now we have an impact through to the finish from the front view. And we'd like to see the hips moving more in this direction. You can see Zach is continuing to move in this direction while your hips are still pretty much on the hip line there, kind of too far behind the ball back here. You do a nice job, pretty good job of extending both arms. You can see we got Zach over here on the left. You can see how fully extended the arms are. You've got a little bit of what we call the chicken wing, where the lead arm kind of breaks down. You got a little bit of bend there. But again, just a really solid finish position. You can see we're green all the way around. Particularly like this, you've been bending backwards a little bit with the shoulders. Very similar to what Zach's doing. Maybe like to have a little more rotation. The tour average is 136 degrees open. You can see at this point of the swing, Zach's entire back is facing. It's kind of hard to see because of your hair, but I like to have you facing more toward the wall here at the finish. But again, this isn't a bad finish position. As you can see, you're all green all the way around. And again, really like that a lot. Very similar. Okay? It didn't hurt so bad, did it? Okay.